The Galactic Confederation's gift arrived on a Tuesday morning, descending through Earth's atmosphere like a tarnished penny dropping through still water. Admiral Sarah Chen watched from mission control as the alien vessel settled onto the landing pad at the International Space Center, its hull reflecting the sunrise in patches where the metallic surface hadn't corroded. "This is what they consider appropriate for humanity's first interstellar vessel," she muttered, eyes narrowing at the holographic display. The ship was barely larger than an old Earth cargo shuttle, its design an awkward amalgamation of technologies that seemed cobbled together from different eras. The Confederation's ambassador, a towering crystalline being called X-742, stood nearby with an air of smug satisfaction. "The cast-off, as we call it, is perfectly suited for a species taking its first steps into the galactic community. We wouldn't want you to overwhelm yourselves." Sarah bit back a sharp retort. 6 months had passed since humanity's quantum beacon had attracted the Confederation's attention, and in that time they'd learned that their galactic neighbors viewed Earth with a mixture of amusement and condescension. The gift of this ship was meant to be humanity's entry ticket into galactic society, and a reminder of their perceived place in it. Dr. James Rodriguez, Earth's leading expert in quantum mechanics, stepped forward to examine the sensor readings. "These energy signatures are unlike anything we've seen before. The power core seems to be unstable." "Ah yes, the dark matter crystalline matrix." X-742's crystalline form shimmered with what might have been laughter. "A rather primitive power source by our standards. Most species abandoned it centuries ago due to its volatile nature. But for your level of development, it should be adequate." The assembled human officials exchanged glances. They'd all been briefed on the Confederation's diplomatic style, the careful way they couched their insults in technical explanations and false concern. But this felt different. There was something about the way X-742 discussed the power source that suggested more than simple condescension. "We'll begin analysis immediately," Sarah declared, gesturing to her team. "Dr. Rodriguez, assemble your best people. I want a full breakdown of every system on that ship within 48 hours. As the humans dispersed to their tasks, X-742 shifted its crystalline mass in what might have been a shrug. "Do be careful. The dark matter matrix can be temperamental. We wouldn't want any unfortunate accidents to delay humanity's integration into galactic society." The next 48 hours became a blur of activity. Teams of engineers and scientists swarmed over the cast-off, documenting every system, every connection, every oddity in its design. Dr. Rodriguez established his command center in a hastily assembled lab near the landing pad, holographic displays showing real-time data from their analysis. "It doesn't make sense," he muttered, running his hands through his already disheveled hair. "The dark matter crystals aren't unstable. They're trying to achieve quantum harmony, but something's preventing it. Look at these oscillation patterns." Sarah leaned over his shoulder, studying the complex waveforms dancing across the display. "Explain it to me in simple terms, James." "It's like..." He paused, searching for the right analogy. "Imagine a chorus singing in a cathedral. The acoustics should create perfect harmony, but someone's deliberately introduced discord. The crystals are trying to resonate together, but they can't quite manage it. And this is why other species abandoned this technology." "I don't think they abandoned it," James said slowly. "I think they never fully understood it. Earth's unusual magnetic field has forced us to develop quantum harmonics in ways other species never needed to. We might be seeing patterns they couldn't." Sarah straightened, a familiar glint in her eye. "Are you telling me we might actually be able to make this work?" "More than that," James replied, pulling up another set of readings. "If we can stabilize the quantum resonance, the potential energy output would be extraordinary. The Confederation didn't give us a wreck, Admiral. They gave us a key. They just didn't know how to use it themselves." Sarah's lips curved into a slight smile. "How long to prove this theory?" "Give me 2 weeks with our best quantum engineers. We'll need to modify some of our harmonic stabilizers, but James trailed off, already lost in calculations. You have 1 week, Sarah replied. I want to see the look on Ambassador X-742's face when we power up this ship properly for the first time. As she left the lab, Sarah paused to look at the cast-off through the observation window. In the setting sun, the ship's corroded hull took on an almost golden hue. The Confederation had meant it as a symbol of humanity's primitive status, but they'd made a crucial mistake. They'd given humanity exactly what it needed: a challenge. And if there was one thing humans had perfected over millennia of existence, it was turning other species' underestimation into advantage. The quantum engineering lab hummed with activity as holographic displays flickered with streams of data. Dr. James Rodriguez hadn't left the facility in 3 days, surviving on coffee and the excitement of discovery. Around him, a team of Earth's brightest minds worked in synchronized precision, each focused on unlocking the secrets of the cast-off's dark matter crystal matrix. The resonance patterns are stabilizing, called out Dr. Maya Patel, her hands dancing through the holographic interface. A former child prodigy in quantum harmonics, she developed half the algorithms they were currently using. But we're still seeing microfluctuations in the beta band. James nodded, studying the crystalline structure floating in the containment field before them. The dark matter crystal pulsed with an inner light that seemed to defy physics, its surface rippling like liquid metal while maintaining solid form. Adjust the magnetic field orientation by 0.3 degrees. Let's see if we can match Earth's natural quantum frequency. The change was instant and dramatic. The crystal's erratic pulsing smoothed into a steady rhythm, its surface taking on a deep cobalt blue glow. Throughout the lab, sensors lit up with new readings as energy levels stabilized at heights they'd never seen before. By all known laws of physics, this shouldn't be possible, Maya whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. We're seeing energy efficiency rates of over 300%. James allowed himself a small smile. Known laws of physics according to whom? The Confederation. They've been in space for millennia, but they never had to deal with Earth's unique magnetic field. They never had to develop quantum harmonics just to maintain basic communications technology. Admiral Chen chose that moment to enter the lab, accompanied by Captain David Joe, the cast-off's newly appointed commander. Please tell me that energy spike I'm seeing means what I think it means, Sarah said, her usually stern expression betraying a hint of excitement. It means we've done it, James confirmed. The dark matter crystals aren't unstable. They're responsive. They amplify and channel energy based on quantum resonance patterns. Earth's magnetic field forced us to become experts at managing exactly these kinds of quantum harmonics. We're not just stabilizing the crystals, we're optimizing them in ways the Confederation never imagined possible. Captain Zhao stepped closer to the containment field, studying the now stable crystal with professional interest. A veteran of Earth's Space Force, he'd been chosen for his combination of technical expertise and tactical thinking. What does this mean for the cast-off's capabilities? Maya pulled up a new set of projections. With these efficiency rates, we can completely redesign the ship's power distribution. The Confederation built basic systems around what they saw as an unstable power source. But with proper quantum harmonization, we could channel this energy into everything from propulsion to defensive systems. How long to implement these modifications? Sarah asked, already thinking ahead to the diplomatic implications. A week for the basic systems, James replied. But I want 2 weeks to fully integrate our quantum harmonic technology throughout the ship. We're not just fixing their design. We're revolutionizing it. Sarah's expression hardened slightly. You have 10 days. The Confederation's Oversight Committee will be here to evaluate our progress with their gift. I want the cast-off ready for demonstration by then. As if summoned by mention of the Oversight Committee, a priority alert flashed across the lab's main display. Ambassador X-742 was requesting an immediate update on their work with the dark matter crystals. Sarah's lips curved into a rare smile. "Tell the ambassador I'll be happy to provide a full briefing tomorrow morning," she said. "Let them spend one more night believing we're struggling with their primitive technology." The next several days passed in a blur of activity. The Castot's interior was transformed as teams of engineers integrated the new quantum harmonic systems. The ship's corroded hull was reinforced with metamaterials developed specifically to channel and amplify the dark matter crystal's energy field. Even the basic life support systems were enhanced, drawing on the now stable power source to create more efficient atmospheric processors. Maya worked alongside James through marathon engineering sessions, their combined expertise pushing the boundaries of what they'd thought possible. The Confederation used these crystals like batteries, she explained during one late-night discussion. But they're more like musical instruments. They need to be tuned, harmonized, played with skill. And humanity, James added, has spent centuries learning to conduct this particular orchestra. On the 9th day, as they prepared for final systems testing, Captain Joe gathered his newly appointed crew for their first briefing aboard the Castor. The ship's interior bore little resemblance to its original state. Sleek control interfaces incorporating Earth's latest quantum technology lined the walls, while the bridge had been completely redesigned around the principles of quantum harmonics. The Confederation meant this ship to be our cage. Joe addressed his crew, standing before the newly installed quantum core where the dark matter crystals pulsed with steady, controlled power. Instead, we're turning it into humanity's key to the stars. In 1 week, we'll show them exactly what humanity can do with a little ingenuity and the right tools. As his words echoed through the ship's halls, none of them could have predicted just how soon that demonstration would come, or the crisis that would force humanity to reveal the full extent of their innovations to a watching galaxy. Ambassador X-742's crystalline form rippled with barely contained agitation as the Castor rose from its landing pad, its once corroded hull now gleaming with an iridescent sheen created by the quantum harmonic field. The demonstration had begun, and already things were not proceeding as the Confederation had expected. "Impossible," the ambassador transmitted, its crystalline lattice structure emitting patterns of light that the translation matrix interpreted as speech. "The dark matter matrix cannot maintain stability at these power levels. You risk catastrophic failure." Admiral Chen stood confidently at her position in mission control, watching as the Castor executed a series of maneuvers that would have been impossible just weeks ago. "I assure you, Ambassador, everything is operating within perfectly safe parameters. Captain Zhao, please proceed with demonstration phase 2. Aboard the Castor's bridge, Captain Zhao nodded to his helm officer. "Take us to Quantum Drive, Lieutenant Park. Let's show our guests what humanity has learned about dark matter manipulation." The ship's quantum core hummed with power as the dark matter crystals pulsed in perfect harmony. Dr. Rodriguez and Dr. Patel had remained aboard for this crucial test, monitoring the systems they'd helped create. Maya's fingers danced across her console, fine-tuning the quantum resonance patterns. "All harmonics synchronized," she reported. "Crystal matrix is responding exactly as predicted. We're ready." The Castor's new drive system engaged, and the fabric of space-time itself seemed to shiver around the vessel. Instead of the conventional FTL jump used by Confederation ships, the Castor created a quantum resonance field that allowed it to slip through space like a needle through silk. By the first stars, Ambassador X-742 transmitted, its crystalline form now pulsing with rapid patterns that suggested alarm. "You've weaponized the quantum harmonics. This is a direct violation of Confederation protocols." "With respect, Ambassador," Sarah responded smoothly. "We've done nothing of the sort. We've simply learned to work with the natural properties of dark matter crystals in ways your people never explored. The quantum resonance drive is purely a propulsion system." But she could see the shift in the ambassador's crystalline patterns, fear, perhaps, or at least deep concern. The Confederation had given humanity what they thought was obsolete technology, expecting them to struggle with its basic operation. Instead, Humans had not only mastered it but transformed it into something entirely new. Aboard the castoff, James and Maya exchanged knowing looks as they monitored the quantum core's performance. They discovered something during their research that they hadn't yet shared with the Confederation. The dark matter crystals could do far more than power a ship. Properly harmonized, they could influence the very structure of reality. All systems maintaining optimal levels, Maya reported. Quantum field integrity at 99.8%. We could maintain this configuration indefinitely. Captain Joe allowed himself a small smile. Take us through the test course, Lieutenant. Let's demonstrate our new navigation capabilities. The castoff moved through space with unprecedented precision, its quantum resonance drive allowing it to execute maneuvers that defied conventional physics. The ship didn't so much fly through space as dance with it, each movement guided by the harmonic interaction between the dark matter crystals and the quantum fabric of the universe. In mission control, the Confederation observers watched with growing unease. Their own ships, massive and powerful as they were, suddenly seemed clumsy in comparison. A junior diplomatic aide approached X-742, transmitting data patterns too quick for the human translation matrix to interpret. Sarah noticed the ambassador's crystalline structure become rigid. Is something wrong, Ambassador? The Confederation Oversight Committee is concerned. X-742 transmitted carefully. Your modifications to the dark matter matrix exceed the boundaries of acceptable technological development for a probationary species. The committee requests an immediate inspection of your quantum harmonics research. I'm afraid that won't be possible, Sarah replied, her tone remaining diplomatic but firm. Earth's quantum harmonic technology is proprietary. We're happy to demonstrate its safety and efficiency, but the underlying research remains classified. The ambassador's crystalline form emitted a burst of sharp, discordant light patterns. Admiral Chen, you don't understand. This isn't a request. The Confederation cannot allow uncontrolled development of reality-altering technology. If humanity refuses to comply, there will be consequences. Before Sarah could respond, a priority alert flashed across Mission Control's main display. Long-range sensors had detected a massive disturbance in the quantum field at the edge of the solar system, a disturbance that was growing rapidly. Maya's voice came through the comm system. Tense but controlled. Admiral, we're detecting a quantum storm forming in the Kuiper Belt. The energy readings, they're like nothing we've ever seen. This isn't a natural phenomenon. Sarah's eyes narrowed as she looked at Ambassador X-742. The crystalline being's form had become completely still, almost rigid. Ambassador, would the Confederation really risk creating a quantum storm just to force our compliance? The Confederation protects the stability of the galaxy, X-742 transmitted. If humanity cannot be trusted to respect our established order, then perhaps you are not ready for interstellar society after all. But as the quantum storm grew, threatening to tear apart the fabric of space-time itself, neither the ambassador nor the Confederation could have predicted how humanity would respond to their challenge, or how the castoff's transformed technology would soon become the galaxy's only hope for survival. The quantum storm raged at the edge of the solar system, its violent energies threatening to tear apart the very fabric of space-time. Aboard the castoff, Maya's hands flew across her console as she analyzed the rapidly deteriorating situation. The storm's quantum signature matches Confederation technology, she reported, her voice tight with concentration. But something's wrong. The energy patterns are becoming chaotic. They're losing control of it. Captain Joe turned to James, who was already deep in calculations. Can they contain it? No, James replied grimly. They didn't account for Earth's unique quantum field. The storm is feeding off our planet's natural harmonics, amplifying itself exponentially. At this rate, it'll reach critical mass in less than 3 hours. In mission control, Admiral Chen faced Ambassador X-742, whose crystalline form now pulsed with unmistakable patterns of distress. Your attempt to intimidate us has backfired, Ambassador. That storm will destroy not just Earth, but half the sector if it's not stopped. Impossible. X-742 transmitted, but the light patterns betrayed uncertainty. Our quantum suppressors are the most advanced in the galaxy. They cannot fail. They already have, Sarah responded sharply. Now you have a choice. Either work with us to stop this, or watch as your power play becomes the greatest disaster in Confederation history. The ambassador's form flickered rapidly, their version of intense internal debate. Finally, it transmitted. The Confederation's nearest crisis response fleet is 6 hours away. They cannot arrive in time. Then it's a good thing you gave us that obsolete ship with its primitive technology, Sarah replied, allowing herself a grim smile. Captain Joe, Dr. Rodriguez, what are our options? Aboard the cast-off, James and Maya were already developing a plan. The ship's quantum harmonics lab had become a hub of frenzied activity as they worked to modify their systems for this unprecedented challenge. The storm is essentially a massive quantum disruption, Maya explained, pulling up complex mathematical models. But it's operating on the same principles as our dark matter crystals, just at a monumentally larger scale. And completely out of control, James added. But if we can match its resonance pattern, and then gradually shift it, he looked up at Captain Joe. We could theoretically create a counter-harmonic field large enough to neutralize it. Theoretically, Joe repeated. And the risks? Catastrophic, Maya answered honestly. We'd have to push our quantum harmonics far beyond anything we tested. The dark matter crystals would be operating at maximum capacity. If our calculations are off by even a fraction, the cast-off would be torn apart at the quantum level, James finished, along with everyone aboard. Zhao was silent for a moment, studying the tactical display where the storm's growing influence was clearly visible. How many people will die if we don't try? Billions, Maya said softly. The storm would trigger a cascade of quantum disruptions. Earth, the colonies, nearby Confederation worlds, they'd all be affected. The captain nodded once. Then we have no choice. Begin modifications. I want all non-essential personnel evacuated within the hour. I'm staying, Maya declared immediately. The harmonics will need constant adjustment. You need me at that console. Me too, James added. We built this system. We're the only ones who truly understand its limits. As the evacuation orders went out, the cast-off's remaining crew worked with grim determination to prepare their ship for its greatest test. The quantum core was reconfigured, drawing maximum power from the dark matter crystals. Every system was optimized, every resource dedicated to generating the massive counter-harmonic field they would need. In mission control, Ambassador X-742 watched the preparations with growing agitation. This is madness. You cannot seriously intend to oppose a quantum storm with a single retrofitted ship. Watch us, Sarah replied. But privately, she shared some of the ambassador's concern. They were about to attempt something unprecedented in galactic history, using technology they'd only just begun to understand. The cast-off moved into position at the edge of the storm's influence. The ship's hull gleamed with energy as the quantum harmonic field built to levels that should have been impossible for its size. Crystal matrix at maximum power, Maya reported, her voice steady despite the strain showing on her face. Harmonic field is stable, but we're already at 95% of theoretical limits. We'll only get one shot at this, James added. Once we engage with the storm, we won't be able to disengage without losing containment. Captain Joe took his position at the command station, his expression resolute. Then we make it count. All hands, brace for quantum engagement. Dr. Patel, begin harmonic sequence on my mark. The storm loomed before them, a writhing mass of quantum energy that defied conventional physics. The cast-off seemed tiny in comparison, a minnow preparing to challenge a hurricane. Mark. Maya activated the harmonic sequence, and the cast-off plunged into the heart of the storm. What followed would be remembered as one of humanity's finest hours, though whether any of them would survive to tell the tale remained to be seen. The quantum storm raged around the cast-off like a maelstrom of pure chaos, reality itself buckling under the strain of conflicting forces. Inside the ship, crystalline displays cracked and reformed as quantum fluctuations warped the very structure of matter. Maya's fingers danced across her console, adjusting harmonics with microsecond precision as they fought to maintain their counter-resonance field. Crystal matrix at 110% of maximum rated capacity, she called out, her voice barely audible over the groaning of the ship's structure. Hull integrity failing. Reroute power from life support if you have to, James shouted back, his own console a blur of calculations and adjustments. We need every ounce of energy for the harmonic field. Captain Zhou gripped his command chair as another wave of quantum distortion rocked the ship. How much longer until we achieve full containment? 3 minutes, Maya responded, then corrected herself as new data flashed across her screen. Maybe 2, if the crystals hold. In mission control, Admiral Chen and Ambassador X-742 watched in stunned silence as the cast-off battled forces that should have torn it apart instantly. The ship's quantum harmonic field was visible even on their long-range sensors, a perfect sphere of controlled energy expanding to meet the chaos of the storm. Impossible. X-742 transmitted for perhaps the 100th time that day, its crystalline form vibrating with what might have been awe. The dark matter matrix cannot sustain these energy levels. The harmonics should have collapsed. You keep using that word, Sarah replied, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. I don't think it means what you think it means. Inside the storm, the cast-off's crew fought for every second of survival. Warning indicators flashed across every console as systems redlined beyond their design specifications. But the quantum harmonic field continued to grow, its perfectly tuned resonance patterns beginning to impose order on the chaos around them. Crystal matrix reaching critical levels, Maya reported, her hands never stopping their precise movements. If we push any harder, we risk quantum decoherence. We're too close to stop now, James responded, his own console showing the storm's energy patterns beginning to shift. The containment field is working. We just need another 30 seconds. Captain Zhao opened a ship-wide channel. All hands braced for final harmonic pulse. This is going to get rough. Maya's fingers flew across her console one last time, implementing the final phase of their desperate plan. The dark matter crystals in the quantum core pulsed with impossible brightness as they channeled more energy than they were ever meant to contain. For a moment, reality itself seemed to hold its breath. Then the cast-off released its accumulated harmonic energy in a single, perfectly tuned pulse. The quantum storm, its chaotic energies suddenly forced into harmony with the ship's field, began to collapse in on itself. Layer by layer, the destructive potential that had threatened billions of lives was converted into ordered energy, channeled and contained by humanity's understanding of quantum harmonics. In mission control, screens lit up with sensor data as the storm's energy readings dropped precipitously. Ambassador X-742's crystalline form pulsed with rapid patterns of disbelief as it processed the information. They did it, the ambassador transmitted. They actually did it. Using technology we dismissed as primitive, they accomplished what our most advanced ships could not. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Never underestimate humanity's ability to work with what we're given, Ambassador. Now shall we discuss the terms of Earth's full membership in the Confederation? Aboard the cast-off, the crew's celebration was interrupted by a series of alarming alerts. The strain of containing the storm had taken its toll on the ship's systems. The quantum core was destabilizing, its crystals pushed far beyond their structural limits. We need to shut down the harmonic field now, Maya warned, her fingers racing across her console. The crystals are fracturing. Negative. James cut in, studying his own readings. Look at the resonance patterns. They're not breaking down. They're evolving. The dark matter crystals in the quantum core had begun to pulse with a new rhythm, their structure changing at the quantum level. As the crew watched in amazement, the crystals merged and reformed, creating something entirely new, a hybrid of Confederation technology and human innovation. The quantum harmonics, Maya whispered in awe. They've become self-sustaining. The crystals have adapted to our resonance patterns. Captain Zhou opened a channel to mission control. Admiral, you're going to want to see this. I think we've just discovered something that will change everything. 3 months later, the cast-off sat proudly in Earth's orbital shipyard, its hull now gleaming with the distinctive iridescence of evolved dark matter crystal technology. It had become the template for a new class of vessels, ones that combined humanity's understanding of quantum harmonics with the Confederation's millennia of spacefaring experience. In the Confederation Council chamber, Admiral Chen stood before representatives of 1,000 worlds, her voice carrying clearly through the vast space. The quantum storm incident taught us all a valuable lesson. She addressed the assembly. Progress doesn't always mean discarding the old for the new. Sometimes it means looking at the familiar with fresh eyes, finding potential where others saw only limitations. Ambassador X-742, now Earth's strongest advocate in the Confederation, transmitted patterns of agreement. Humanity has proven that there is value in different perspectives, in questioning established assumptions. The dark matter crystal technology they've developed will revolutionize space travel throughout the galaxy. And this is just the beginning. Sarah concluded, humanity is ready to take its place among the stars not as students, but as partners. Together, we can explore possibilities that neither of us could have imagined alone. As she spoke, the cast-off prepared for its first official mission as a Confederation vessel. Captain Zhou stood on his bridge, looking out at the stars that had once seemed so far beyond humanity's reach. Dr. Rodriguez and Dr. Patel worked at their stations, their quantum harmonic innovations now integrated into every system on the ship. The vessel that had been meant as a symbol of humanity's limitations had become something else entirely, a bridge between worlds, a testament to human ingenuity, and a reminder that the greatest discoveries often come from the most unexpected places. As the cast-off engaged its quantum drive, its evolved crystals pulsing with harmonious energy, it carried with it humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy. The ability to see potential where others saw only the past, and the determination to turn underestimation into opportunity.